Welcome to the latest edition of the Core podcast series. I'm Adrian Terry, once again joined by Jerry Powers, and we want to give you some important information about an upcoming election.
So you probably all know by now that the special election has been set for August 24th, and it was an enormous task for the people of Edgewood to get that done. A lot of you signed the petition to ask for the special election, and by law it has to be voted in by the council once the petition is validated, but that didn't happen. Instead, they tried to postpone the special election and push it off into the future. The Secretary of State ordered them to do it. They still avoided, in fact, canceling even a meeting in the process, but Councilors Jaramillo and Abraham went to a judge and asked the judge to order them to do the right thing, and it was so important the judge set an emergency hearing and ordered the town to vote it in, and they finally did, but only under that. It's a pretty extraordinary event to have to get a judge to order them to do something that is clearly required by the law.
No, that's certainly true, and obviously we reiterate that our mission is transparency and openness in government. And I did note the mayor's explanation about this issue at the May 27th meeting, where he suggested that once he received the opinion of the town's attorney, he acted on that advice. Then there was a significant delay before the Secretary of State's office sent a letter, and then in that interim period he had to go back to council, meaning the attorneys, and then subsequently have a personal meeting up in Santa Fe, presumably with the Secretary of State's office, before they ultimately decided that they needed to do what the law required. And if he had been transparent about what he was doing during that time frame, perhaps that lawsuit for the writ of mandamus wouldn't have been necessary.
Yeah, he kind of portrayed it like the two counselors that went to the judge were reactionary and over the top, when really they tried to get a hold of him during that entire period. He wouldn't even return their phone calls. So a lot of this lack of openness, that's why we formed. I mean, we wouldn't have been doing what we're doing had the town been open about what their actions they're taking and debating in public meetings, as should happen and doesn't happen in Edgewood.
Now, this petition is going to have an election about changing the form of the town government from the mayor-council model to the commission-manager model. Now, there are some details and information that we want to convey to you about that, and we're planning to put forth a presentation. Do you want to give the folks a little preview of what we're talking about?
Yeah, on Thursday the 25th, we're going to hold a meeting, and because of the COVID situation and the governor's regulations regarding mass gatherings, we're going to have to do it pretty much over the internet. So that means that we'll use Zoom, which is everybody's kind of using this and it's an effective tool for having digital meetings. But we'll have a limited amount of space for people to participate, and with Zoom they can actually talk to us on video back and forth, ask questions, but we have a limited amount of space. So we'll ask them to send us an email, and we'll have a notice going out in the mail, and we'll ask them to send us an email request to be in that part of the meeting. Otherwise, you can watch it on our Facebook page, Eye on Edgewood, and it will be live streamed. You won't be able to talk to us, you'll be able to watch what happens. So that's kind of the gist of it.
And at that meeting, we're going to talk about some of the procedures related to this special election, including the fact that this election will be conducted by mail.
Right, it'll be a mail-in ballot, so the county will send us the ballots, and they'll have a return envelope, and you can fill them out and send them back. So it'll be an easy way to get your vote in. Also, I think it's important to mention that there's the idea that the town has been resisting this, trying everything they can to get away from it, is kind of the reason that we want the commission manager form of government and think it's a better form, because the town right now, with the lack of communication, is just driving forward with the mayor and the two councilors that vote lockstep with him, and the other two get marginalized. They don't even get to speak. I mean, we'll have video clips, but those of you who've been watching the live stream council meetings have seen how the mayor just shuts them down, and it's against all of the rules of Robert's Rules of Order, how to conduct a meeting, how to have openness in your meetings. So the commission manager form actually spreads that power out where it's concentrated right now and allows for a more open environment and a balance of power more so than exists now.
And what are some of the issues that have kind of spurred this movement and led us to this stage?
Well, the issues that came about that I'm aware of, and I've gotten more aware as time went on, we've used the train wreck, as a kind of a symbol of what's been going on in the town. Well, it's worse than that. I thought that was a pretty good representation. So one of the things that's happened is the sewer plant has been operating at 1,100 times the contaminant levels that are allowed by the NMED, and has been in violation of have been noticed violations for as long as 3 or 4 years without being remedied. So the basic management that you rely on government for to pave your roads, there hasn't been a new road paved in 4 years. There haven't been the trails that people have been asking for, the multi-use trails. Edgewood is a special place. I live here because I like the more rural environment, the larger lots, more open space, and I don't want to live in Rio Rancho. If I did, I would be there. So we want openness so that the town ends up reflecting what people want, their values, and what they value in living here. Instead of building sewers to the mayor's property, the mayor built a couple of $1 million sewer across the Bassett family property. That $2 million would have built all of the trails that I would have wanted.
Sure.
And now they've shut down the arena, the equestrian center, because they don't want to spend the money. It's just a little bit of money to go pull the weeds and maintain that property. And instead, the mayor told Santa Fe County, we're not going to do it. And Santa Fe County is very difficult to come down here and manage it from 70 miles away. Although there was a meeting last weekend where it looks like they're going to do it, and some of the equestrian people are volunteering. We already pay taxes for them to do this. And Edgewood has flatly refused to maintain that facility.
And that's really unfortunate because it is a nice facility and it's frequented by a number of citizens of this community.
Yeah, a lot of people here have horses, and that's one of the rural benefits. You can have horses out here. So I think the town has ended up, current government, it does not reflect the will of the people. And I think that's the whole purpose of this election, is to change that in a direction that will open it up so that the government actually reflects the will of the people and the things that they want are getting done.
And how do we think the commission manager model will assist in that effort?
Well, for one thing, it decentralizes that power that we talked about. There will be no mayor except in name only, a ceremonial mayor, somebody to go cut the ribbons and attend parades and that sort of thing. But the commission itself is 5 different commissioners with a professional manager. And the manager is important because what's going begging right now are the basic functions. The management is pretty poor. Not maintaining the equestrian center, not managing the sewer plant in a way that is within NMED guidelines for safety reasons, if nothing else. Paving roads, that stuff should be done, but the basic management functions are not happening. So now you'll have a professional manager. It won't be managed by a mayor, and he will be responsible for all of these functions. So the commissioners can actually spend their time soliciting information from the public. What is it that you want? What is it we should be doing to make the bigger decisions about the direction the town goes?
Whereas today we have to have counselors who scrutinize the town's financials with a fine-tooth comb to make sure there's no waste, fraud, or abuse.
Well, and speaking of management, we were talking about the poor management, how a manager will help with that because there'll be continuity as to how the town is managed. The last audit came out and it had 8 findings on it, and a finding is a finding of wrongdoing. Is what it really means. There were 8 of those on there, and they were everything from violation of the Open Meetings Act, how the government's being managed again. It's not managed so that to stay within compliance of the Open Meetings Act. And what's the significance of that? The main purpose of the Open Meetings Act is so that people in the town can speak to their elected officials, get the word out, have those ideas discussed and debated in the open. So, but there were also violations as simple as they can't manage the checkbook. There was some fraud that was allowed to happen because of the poor management of of the way the checkbook's being handled, and they're not reconciling the bank statements every month on time. I mean, most of us probably do that.
These are
but
fundamentals.
These are fundamentals. In business, every business has to do that every month to make sure the money's going where it's supposed to go. And this is the town money. This is our tax money that should be managed properly.
These are some of the reasons why this upcoming election is particularly important, and we would tell you to look for our email and our flyers advertising this Zoom meeting on Thursday, June 25th, and also check your mailbox because a ballot will be coming if you live in the town of Edgewood.
Those will be going out around the 1st of August, but between now and then, we'll have a couple of these Zoom meetings to talk to you more about it and familiarize you more with what's going to happen.
The goal is to get the information out, and now that you've got the word, share it with your friends. This is Adrian Terry and Jerry Powers bringing you another episode of the Core Podcast Series. Thanks for watching.